Yeah, so I will start now. I'm just closing the poll. I think it is already closed. Yeah. Okay. Welcome, teachers. Welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to talk about how to improve the academics and how to create a data-driven school. We will try to understand your problems. We will also tell you like the solutions which we are working on, so that we can learn from each other. And so we are from the company called as Edfora. So Edfora, the mission with which we are working is Edfora, like education for all. Okay, so we are part of the Fitji group, as in the Fitji group is our content partner. So we are a software company. We have designed and developed the software, but that software is powered by the content which is provided by Fitji to us. Okay, so Fitji is already a very good name in the market, and they have been creating toppers for various competitive exams in India from last 25 years. And the content which is created by Fitji has is the main thing, like which is creating those toppers in the India. So we are providing the best quality content and integrating it with the software products in the market, and then we are bringing those solutions to the schools. A lot of learnings are here for us, and we would like to share those with you and our understanding of how are we actually trying to solve the problems we are facing in the Indian education market. And this becomes especially important in the current time when, because of pandemic, we are stuck down in our houses. Then the need and approach or our attitude in using these kind of products becomes more critical in the current time. So yeah, not wasting further time, I will start. So I will prefer you to disturb the class as soon as possible here. So please feel free to ask any questions. Please raise your hands, or you can add your comments. We can try to have as interactive session as we can. Okay. And let us see by the end of 1 hour if we are able to learn something from each other or not. Okay. Yeah. So teachers, as you can see on my screen, yeah. So the topic of the presentation today is improving the school's academic performance. Okay. So when we started working on this problem, like so we have a lot of good content, which definitely will be helpful for the schools. But how do we improve the academic performance? And given the current situation of pandemic, also this question became more relevant for us. So we started finding other solutions. So as the first step, we started talking to teachers. And while talking to teachers, we found there are a lot of things which are changing in current time. And it is not only related to pandemic, it is also related to how overall scenario is changing in the world. So we found certain things which I'm noting down here on the screen, as you can see. So these are the changes which we are observing in the current time. We'll go through all of them one by one, but let me just give you a brief explanation about them here. So the first point here, it is written as information abundance. So by information abundance, I mean that in the earlier time, there was no Google, there was no YouTube, nothing was there. So information was a scarce resource. But now with the click of a button, you had so many information available with you. So that has definitely helped us, but it has also caused new problems. Okay. So right now, just to give you one example, if I want to learn about a particular topic, earlier I had a book in which some topics and definition and the explanation was written, and I could go through it to learn the topic. But now the problem which is coming is, I want to learn something, I will type it on internet, I will have hundreds of resources which I will be using to learn about that. uh, it is good that I'm able to find so many solutions, but again new problem has come up because I need to go through all of them because I don't know which one is best. Okay, so this is the problem which is coming now. Second one is measuring the learning effectiveness. So when you are teaching the students, especially like when you are teaching in online class, like we are doing right now, how do you measure the learning effectiveness? How do you know whether the students who are attending your class are able to learn something or not? In case of classes also, like some students who are very good, but they are very silent in the class, they don't speak much. Okay. There has to be some objective way to measure the learning effectiveness. We will touch upon this point also, and we will explain you like what can be done in this regard. And the third thing is engagement. So engagement is basically ensuring that learners are attentive in your class and they're engaged. Okay. So in offline world, there are a lot of ways. We have a lot of games so that people feel that kind of engagement in the class and then can learn. Because if your audience is not engaged, then they will not be paying attention to what you are saying. Okay. Then the next thing is coming technology tools. Uh, Teachers like in the earlier era did not use so much tools, but now they have to, because everything is now running using softwares. Okay. Starting from teaching in the class to asking questions, even talking to parents, everything has to be facilitated by softwares. Okay. So proficiency in using these tools is another thing which is very important now. Then the next thing is learning experience. So all of this combines to have like how can we provide good learning experience in the classes. Okay. um, yeah, so this is the point which I was telling you about collection versus curation. Okay, as you can see on my screen, the word which is written is, it is not the information overload, it is filter failure. Okay, people might have a lot of information available with them, but someone has to be able to filter that information to get maximum output from it. Okay. So just to give you an example here, I can collect so many books with me, but if I'm just skimming through them without going deeper into any one of them, I will not be able to learn. And in order to be able to go deeply into either of the book, I should be able to find, okay, which one is the best book. Okay. So someone has to curate that information outside so that I don't have to waste my time in finding the best information. Okay. Then let us jump on to like how the teacher's role is evolving. So there are largely three aspects of the teacher's role. So as I have written there on the screen, like first one is teaching, okay, then evaluation, and then administration. Okay. In case of teaching, especially in the current time, like everything is happening online, you would be using different tools in your classes for conducting the online classes. It can be any company, like Zoom is there, and Reliance has launched something, right? So that is happening. Okay. Now, next thing is evaluation. So after you teach something, you have to evaluate also, because that is the only way you can know about whether learning is happening or not. Okay. Then the next thing is administration. Administration is, apart from teaching, there are other tasks also in the school which need to be done. So those things also need to be managed in an online first world. Okay. So we right now also, we don't know when the schools will start with 100% efficiency, like as they were happening in the pre-COVID area. So we need to find out a way to run the show now also, so that whatever learning we get from here, we can use it later also. Moving on. So in this presentation, I will be covering all these teaching and evaluation part here. So we will also show you the solutions which we are working, and then we will go ahead. So Mr. Prashant, you have raised your hand. Please tell.
No. Carry on. Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So coming to running live classes, there are largely two different types of methods as far as live classes are concerned. Okay. The first one is running a live class, which is synchronous instruction, and then another is asynchronous instruction. Okay. In case of live classes like we are doing now, instructors can directly talk to the students. They can also engage in meaningful discussion. Okay. And in case of asynchronous class, teachers have to record the lectures. They will have to write the content and share it. So this is the basic difference. Okay. So for example, let us say you want to teach a topic tomorrow, but tomorrow you might not be available. So what you will do is you will record your video about that particular lesson, and then you will share it with the student, maybe on WhatsApp or some other way, or you will write some notes and then you will share it with the students. Okay. So students can go through it as per their convenience. There is no rigidity in terms of schedule. Okay. So schedule is flexible. So this is a difference. in terms of technological demands, running live classes is far more demanding than asynchronous, even though asynchronous provides its own advantages like schedule flexibility and less demanding in terms of technology. Okay. So, but when we see about like in terms of relationship which gets developed between teachers and students, live classes have far better chances of creating meaningful relationship, because here we are talking to each other in a live setup. In case of asynchronous teaching, there is no emotional connect. I'm just looking into the video and I'm learning from it. Okay. I even as a teacher, I also might not know who is my student and how are they learning from it. So this is the basic difference. Both of them are possible, and I think all of you would be doing a little bit of both of them in your classes. Like you would be sharing some other resources which student can go through as per their convenience, and live classes are also happening. Okay, but there is some dark side also of online classes. So there have been cases like when some participants create some kind of nuisance, or they disturb the class in a way which is not appropriate. Okay, but with the help of technology we are able to control that as well. Okay, so we personally have like as a company we have got a lot of complaints from the schools that some student was creating some kind of disturbance, but with the help of tools available with us, we were able to find out those students and take care of the issues. Okay, so this is how the online classes are running. Now I will, yes, I think Mr. Parul Khanna, Mrs. Parul Khanna, do you have any questions? Please tell. Yeah, moving on. Let us talk about the next aspect. So this is about the teaching aspect. Now we will move on to the learning aspect. Okay, evaluation basically. So before going into this, I have a simple question to all of you. You can see the question written on your in this presentation. I will be also launching a poll to know like what are your views about it. So the question is simple. What do you think? Is teaching an art or science? So all of you would be seeing a poll on your screen. Please choose any answer. What do you think is correct? Then we will discuss on this. So let us wait for a minute to get the responses. Then we'll continue. So we have 65% teachers saying that teaching is art, and 30% are saying teaching is science, and somewhere around 5 to 10% are like it is mix of both, so that cannot decide between them. So I'm closing the poll. I will just tell you the responses. We have received around 30% who say teaching is science, 60% say teaching is art, 10% are saying it is a mix of both. Okay, let us dive deep into this. Okay, so yeah, so I will take a step back here, and we will first try to understand like what is science, and like what makes something as science, and what makes something as art. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. Please confirm. So there is a blank white screen should be coming on your computer sides. Please confirm if you are able to see this.
Yes,
It's a white screen.
Yes,
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 yes.
we are able to see.
Okay, so there are two things which we were discussing, right? So one is science and another is art. Okay, so my question is, what makes something as science and what makes something as art? Okay, so any inputs, teachers, anyone from the audience who wants to add anything here? What makes something as a science and what makes it as an art? Anything? I'll tell my understanding about it. Okay, so science is something which is more structured. Okay, like we can predict it. sorry for my handwriting, it is not very good, and it is tangible. Tangible in the sense that we can measure it, we can find out about it and understand more about it. Art is something which cannot be explained easily in terms of the structure. Okay, unexplainable, or I would say it is not structured that much. So if someone has created a very good drawing or has done a very creative job, we will not be able to identify the reasons behind it. Okay, so that way I'm saying it is not very structured. Okay, and in a sense then it becomes intangible. Okay, so something which is structured is more closer to science, unstructured things are more closer to art. So like people try to find out the reasons like why Sachin Tendulkar is a very good batsman. They have their different theories, but sometimes we also know that he has learned something which all of us have not, so that is why we are not able to explain. If we were able to explain the things, then we would also become like him, right, with proper guidance. So that is why it is unexplainable. Okay, so this is the basic difference between science and art. Now coming to teaching. Okay, so when we talk about teaching as such,
बोलिए
teaching also has, yeah, please tell. Any teacher like want to add anything? Yeah. So coming to teaching, teaching also has both component which are related to science and some are related to art. Okay. So there are things which we want to measure. There are things which we cannot measure also. So some teachers are very good, and even though like you want to learn from it, but we cannot learn all the rules of the game just by listening to them. You have to be in their shoes to deliver the lectures as good teachers do. Okay, so that is the basic difference here. Uh, so another point I want to add here is, let me open the presentation again. Yeah. So humanity's progress is the story of converting art to science. Okay. What I mean by this statement is basically that anything which is not measurable, as humans, we are trying to measure it. And that is how we are making the progress. Okay. So that is our journey from art to science, which in a way we are having. Right. So then the next statement which comes is like whatever can be measured can be improved. Okay. So this is a very powerful statement which was made by Mr. Peter Drucker. So he's a very good management consultant who gave this statement. So what I mean here is that whatever improvement we want to do in our life, it starts with measurement. If you want to reduce your weight also, you will have to start with measuring it first. Okay, unless you know that okay, I am having this much weight and my normal weight should be this much, and like let us say I am having 20 kilo more weight. Okay, so that measurement is something which will give you an idea about how much effort is required to reach your goal. Okay, because you cannot decide any goal without measurement. Okay, so this happens in your classrooms also. You cannot measure the learning effectiveness in your class without proper measurement tools. Okay, so in classes, measurement tools are nothing but examinations or assessments which we do. Okay, so there are like different types of assessments we have in the class. Like there are assessments which are there before teaching the concepts. Some assessments are there which we use while teaching the concept, and then there are ones who we go through after teaching the concept. Okay, so this is the major difference between all three of them. Just to explain it further, before teaching the concepts, the evaluation which comes is called as diagnostic assessment. Okay, the purpose of this type of assessment is basically uh, to know whether the students in your class are ready to learn a concept or not. Okay, it could be possible that you are starting the class with the hope that you will teach them something, but they are not ready to learn that concept because they might not have understanding of the prerequisite concepts for that particular topic. Okay, so this is the type of question paper which comes. Okay, so it basically tells the learning state of the learner. Okay, then next one is while teaching the concept. Okay, the purpose of these assessment is just to know, or it is like a feedback for the teachers when they are teaching something, they want to understand whether their class is learning or not. Okay, so these are called as formative assessment. Okay, formative assessments. So in case teacher conducts a formative assessment and they are not able to find out whether the class is learning or not, then it is also not a very good situation. Okay, by asking these questions, teachers can get direct feedback about their class, and then they can repeat some concepts which are not very clear to the class also. Okay, then after teaching the concepts, these type of assessment is called as summative assessment. Okay, summative assessment. So this is the basic difference between all of them, and all of them help us in evaluation. Okay, so traditionally all these question paper and everything we have been doing is through offline channels. Teachers teach in a class, then they create the questions and create the question papers, and then these are asked in the classes, and then teachers manually assess also. Okay, so that is how things are happening nowadays. Okay, now it is time to change. We need to see, with the help of current tools which are available in front of us, what can be done about it. Okay, can we use technology tools to our advantage so that we can save that much effort? Just to give you an example, let us say for a science teacher who is teaching in grade 8, in a week they would be taking around 10 to 15 lectures minimum. Okay, in each lecture they will have to decide, like, I need to conduct some assessment and then I need to be able to teach it, right? So this is the situation right now, and a lot of effort and energy is wasted. But like, if someone can create the question papers on my behalf, I will just have to uh, assign those questions, and then some reports will automatically get generated. Okay, so your time, lot of time will be saved in that aspect, and in as a result you will be able to uh, also spend time in quality decisions, like after the exam is done, how do I measure the performance, what kind of interventions are required to act on it. Okay, so that is the basic difference. Then when we talk about assessments, there are basically two types of assessments, like one is subjective and objective. The software tools which we want to use should be able to support both of them, subjective as well as objective. Okay, and there are majorly two aspects while conducting any assessment, like first is assigning and then evaluating. Okay, so in case of earlier processes, assigning the exam use, actually like teachers have to write the questions first and then create photocopies and then give it to the students. Okay, now this entire thing can be done with the click of a single button. I will show you how. Okay, then the next thing is evaluating. Okay, evaluation also happens, like earlier teachers used to collect the answer sheets, evaluate everything one by one, and then publish the results and all that. Now all these things are possible in very less time with the help of some buttons only, and you will see, like, I'll show you now. uh, yeah, give me 1 minute. I will. Yeah, so one second. Is my screen visible to you, teachers? Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is visible.
Yeah. I'll show you two screens side by side, actually, just to tell you like how things are happening nowadays. Okay. So on my left hand side, there is a teacher's account. Uh, Let us say the teacher has taught the topic, or so it is a grade 9 science concept. Okay. So let us say we are teaching the topic of methods and importance of crop protection. Okay. So this is the topic number 5 here. Okay. So I've just completed this topic. Okay. Now, after doing it, I just want to conduct a simple exam from the class, and I will show you how we can do it. Okay. So like right now you can see it is right now logged. So in this way, my students will not be able to see. So on my right side, there is a screen which will show you how the students are going to see the question paper. Okay, so right now it is logged. Okay, as you can see with the this red color log. So after completing this topic, I will just unlock it from here. Okay, so it is unlocked. Now if I refresh this page again, this question paper will be available for me to attempt. Okay, this is a 20 minutes question paper, and that's it. It is that easy. So assigning part is that easy. Now students can go into this and then can attempt the question paper. I will not be doing that. It is just finding the questions and finding the right answers and then clicking on it. What I want to show you now is after this test is done, what happens next. Okay, so after your entire class has actually attempted the test, you are going to get a report. Okay, and that report can be generated like within 5-10 minutes after the test is done. So I will show you one sample report on my screen. I hope this test report is visible to you. So please confirm if it is coming on your screen, test report.
Yes, Akash, it is visible.
Okay, fine.
Yes, Akash, visible.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Sahil. So you can see the exam was done in Datta Mage World Academy. Around 24 students participated in the test. Okay, so this test was conducted in 2019. Okay, I want to show you what kind of reports. This is just one of the report which gets generated after the exam is done. So you can see here like there are various subjects which are mentioned. So these were the subjects which were part of the test. Okay, exam duration was this much. These were the total marks. Then as a school decision maker or as a teacher, you will be able to see, okay, 24 students attempted the test. This is the maximum mark scored. This is the median mark. This is the minimum mark, and lot of other data, right? So attempt rate is there, then accuracy rate is there. Okay, so accuracy rate is basically students who attempted the questions, how much percentage of those questions were correct. Okay. Then there is test performance. This was the average score in my class. There was no negative marking. Okay, around 98.9% questions were attempted by the students, out of which 44% were correct. Let us go down. Then we have subject-wise performance also. We can see the performance in mental ability test and then in physics. So in physics, your average score in the class is 3.2 only. In case of chemistry, it is a bit higher. Okay, so maybe you can conclude like chemistry performance is a bit on a higher side. It can also be seen that correct percentage is also good in chemistry as compared to physics. So these are some data points which we are getting. Similarly, for other subjects like biology and mathematics, you are getting such data. Okay, like social science, I think average score is very good here. Okay, attempt rate and correct percentage is also very good. Okay. These are simple statistics which you are getting. Let us get one step further deeper. This is the mark distribution of your class. Okay, so as you can see, like most of the students lie here. There are some toppers also, but there are some weaker students also in the class. So these are the students which teachers need to pay more attention to know more about them. Okay, so that they can take right action to improve their academics. Then we have class-wise overall toppers and subject-wise toppers. You can see on this screen that Harsha, this student has scored the highest marks, like marks are 132. I think he is topper by a very huge margin. Second rank student has scored only 109 marks. Okay, so when we go to subject-wise, social science, our topper is different. Okay, so this student has scored high marks, and in overall class ranking, this student has class rank of 2. Okay, another surprise, like this particular student, overall class rank is 10, but he is one of the topper in the class. Okay, so this student will be very good in this specific subject. Okay, similarly for other subjects also you will get. So like this student Aditya Singh, this student scored overall rank of 14 but is a topper in physics. Okay, so maybe this student can be given more attention when you are teaching physics. Okay, so this is something like kind of very good analysis teachers can get after this is done. Okay, like mathematics also you get something similar for other subjects as well. Now you will also get to know about the slow learners in the class, right? So one good thing which comes out of it is not just a report which is of importance, but what do you do after reading the report? What actions can you take after reading the report? That is something which is more important. So just to give you an example here, if I go 10 to 20 years back, okay, teachers who were creating very good reports were very good, were considered very good. But now teachers who can analyze the reports to take right action, that is a skill which is more in demand right now. So I would like to give you one example here. So consider a case in your class. Okay. So let us say you have two students in your class. Okay. Student A and student B. So this student is very good in chemistry, but not that good in physics. Okay. PHYSICS. Very good in chemistry, not good in physics. This student is opposite. Okay. When you consider chemistry, this student is not very good, but in physics, this student is very good. If I had asked a teacher, say around 10 years back, what will you do in this situation? The teacher's response would be, I will have to give extra classes for physics. Okay. Extra classes for physics to this student and extra classes for chemistry to this student. Okay. This was the typical response we would get from the teachers, because these students are weak and they need to be reinforced. And teachers used to consider themselves as a source of knowledge. Okay. Because if I am teaching something and my student is not good in something, it means I need to teach them again. This was our general attitude as a teacher. But now things are changing. You need to figure out, students already have so much source of information with them. If even with that much information, if they are not able to learn, then there is something else which needs to be done. Okay. It is not the information availability which is the problem. The problems are two here. Okay. So the first problem which I would say is that teachers should stop considering them as the knowledge source, because your students are getting the information from multiple places. Okay. Teachers are not the knowledge source. They can learn from Google also. Now your role as a teacher also changes. You should act more like a facilitator now. Okay. So that is the thing which you need to change. Maybe what you can do is you can give student A and B a group project. Okay. Which has component from both physics and chemistry. This student will learn physics from B. B will learn chemistry from A. Okay. In this way, they will have exposure to all the information, but they will also get that unique perspective, which in the group assignment they will learn. And that's how they can come at par with each other as far as these subjects are concerned. Okay. So in this case, teachers are not acting as an information source. Teachers are also acting as a facilitator. They are using strengths of specific students to improve others. And that's how the entire classroom is getting designed. Okay. So this is the action which you will come to know after going through these reports. Okay. As a company, or like any company for that matter, they will not be able to give you these kind of information. That is something which you should be able to find out. Okay. Going further, then we have this concept wise distribution also. Okay. So in this, you can see that there are some weak concepts in social science. So in these concepts, the correct percentage in the class is less than 20. Okay. It means the students did not score more than 20% marks in these concepts. Okay. So this is a very good feedback for you as a teacher. So as a teacher, I need to pay more attention in my class for these concepts. Okay. As you can see, correct percentage is very less, right? So this is one feedback. So maybe you can consider taking some extra classes for your class and just teach these particular topics. Similarly, for other subjects also, some similar weak concepts will come out, which can be used in the class. Okay. So that's about it. And then there are strong concepts also. Okay. So for social science, your correct percentage for these concepts is more than 60. Okay. You can see the correct percentage here. So maybe you might have used some very good method while teaching these concepts. Okay. Which resulted in good performance. Why not replicate the teaching method of these concepts to the weaker concepts also? That will definitely help out your class also in the long run. Okay. So this is how like you can use this information to improve your classroom performance. Okay. So yeah. So different subject wise you will get. Then there is time analysis also, like how much time people have spent on a particular question. Okay. So orange color, like this is orange only. So that is correct. Incorrect is blue. So like you can see students how much time they have spent on each question. So this particular question, even though students actually got it correct, but they have taken around 5.5 minutes to solve this question. Okay, on an average. So you can get into these kind of details also and ensure that like whatever problem was there in the class with respect to those questions are also addressed. Okay. Then average attempt time, how much time students are spending in attempting the questions, how many incorrect attempts are there, how much time they are wasting. Because see, if a student does not know the answer to a particular question, they should not waste their time also, because that will also result into their marks. Then so they will not have time for questions which they can get correct if they spend time. Okay. So that state of self-awareness also should come in the class. Okay. So this is the overall test report which is coming. Similarly, each student also will get their reports. This is the report which a particular student will get. They will get like how much total time was there for the test. These are the test dates and simple data. Then their performance is like class, they are not even at per the class average. Okay, their scored marks is less than class average. Okay, so they can see it here. And then chapter wise comparison is also there. Okay, topper scored 6 marks, but I scored only 2 marks here. So I'm very like my performance is not good. So this is the feedback. I need to revise these concepts again. Okay. Similarly, like in case, let us see, for this topic of classification, okay, I scored more marks even than the class topper. So this topic is really strong. Okay. So as a teacher also, when you're going to get these kind of reports, you will know the strengths and weaknesses of a particular student, and then you can take appropriate actions also. If they are also very good in a specific topic, maybe they can solve the classes problem also. They can take some kind of problem solving session that will again improve them further. Okay. So like this, you are going to get some data. So here, as we can see, some SWOT analysis can also be given. So as you can see, this is the concept for which they scored more marks than the topper. Okay. So this is their strength. Similarly, these are the threats. So on these questions, the student did not perform very good. So these kind of personalized reports will also come. It will help you provide personalized feedback also to the students. Okay. So lot of data is there, lot of analysis is there. Okay. And so many things can be done, provided as a teacher, you know how to take action, how to use this data to take some specific action in my class. Okay. Let us move on further. Okay. So we have just seen like what can be measured here and what are the things which can be covered. Okay. Now the next thing is what can we do after the measurement. So this is something which we have touched upon here in the class, as in, so teachers can utilize the data from the reports, and they can use personalized learning methods, because you will get each student's individual data as well. Okay. You can pair up the students together so that both of them can learn from each other, and so on. Okay. Now the next question which will come to your mind is, does this even work? Okay. In order to answer this question, we actually did a small experiment in one of the school where we conducted a test, and we conducted the test for that same topic again after 1 month. Okay. I will show you the result which we got after that. Okay. So you will see two screens on my two PDFs on my screen. I will be again stacking them side by side so that we can compare the results. Okay. So as you can see here in both the cases, okay. So here also I am doing the test on the topic of acids, bases and salt. Okay. This one, acid, bases and salt. This test was conducted on June 3rd. On this side, as you can see, this is also acid, bases and salt, but this is test 2, which was conducted after around 1 month of gap. Okay. we will see here, is there any difference between the performance of the students in both the cases? Okay, let us go down. This is the test summary of the test which was conducted 1 month before. And this is the test summary which was conducted after 1 month. Okay, so one student less participated here, that is fine. Median marks here it was 11, here it is 13. Okay, now lowest attempt rate was around 90% here, it is 0. Okay, so accuracy rate is also, and highest accuracy rate has increased. Okay, so this is the difference. So we can see marginal improvement in the scores. Let us go down further. Okay, now performance in science. Let me open the same set here. Yeah, so yeah, average score has increased a bit. Okay, remarkable improvement we have seen in correct percentage and attempt rate. Okay, attempt rate has reduced with average marks are more. It means that whatever questions students have attempted, they are very cautious and they have left the questions which they did not know the answer. Okay, so that is why your correct percentage is more, and even when your attempt rate is less, your average score is high. Okay, so that is the difference which is coming here. Right, like if we see the mark distribution of the students in class also, as you can see, there is a clear difference. So this was the distribution which we got in the first attempt. Okay, now based on this, some students would have worked really hard based on the feedback. So that is why we are seeing this type of graph here. Okay, some students who worked on their feedback have scored really good. Even one student scored 100% marks as well. Okay, but some students might have got demotivated also. That is why they did not perform as good as they could do. So classroom topper wise also, if you want to check the performance, that also you can observe. So as you can see here, like earlier the topper was different in my class, now the topper is different. Okay, so we have seen early success in how the results are coming and how is it compared with each other. Okay, so you can see the differences here. So there has been some improvement. Another improvement which I would like to show you is in case of first test. Okay, there was this weak concept. Okay, what do acids and bases have in common? This concept was very weak in my class earlier, but in case of second test, this weak concept was not there. Okay, it means teachers worked on the improving the concept, and as a result there is no weak concept in my class in the second test. So this is something which we as a company also want to ensure, like whichever customers use the product, there should not be any weak concept left in the test. Okay, so this is how we take care of the situation. So yeah, going further, so all this exercise, what we are trying to do here is, the purpose is to create a data driven school. Okay, so when you are running a school, okay, you need to be able to find out different metrics which can be given to individual students, teachers, and you can measure their performance against that. Okay, so if as a teacher, like in first test I got a feedback that okay, in my class these are the 5 concepts which are weak. Okay, and now after 1 month again some test is going to be conducted again, and now in that test there should not be any weak concept. Okay, as a teacher, if I get some such feedback, then I will be able to work on those feedback and improve my classroom performance. Okay, this is just one example. You can do a lot of data analysis here, and let us say I find strong students, weak students, I can pair them up. I can also change the way I teach in the class so that I can get the required output. Okay, so yeah, any questions, teachers? Anything which is not understood, you want to ask any question, please feel free to do so. Okay, yeah, so moving on further here, I want to show you one video also. So because a lot of teachers actually ask, like, all this is fine, you have a lot of questions with you, lakhs of questions are there, but what can you do about subjective assessment? Okay, so we also have a solution in which you can conduct subjective assessments also. Okay, I would like to show you a small video here, which you can see to understand like how that solution works. Is this screen visible, teachers? YouTube video is there on the screen. Yeah, I'll be just running this video. So first step is teachers. How can teachers assign the test to the students? It's a simple question type. Click on assign the test. Then you can assign the test to the batch. Now you can select the time window of the test, like in which time window the test should be active, because we usually have this like 3-hour test and 2-hour test. So all that can be decided here. So after assignment is done, how students will attempt it. Okay, so this is the major problem in subjective assessments, because there is no predefined answer. Students have to write the answers on a sheet and then they have to upload it. Let us see the process. Writing the answer, students just have to click their answer sheets and upload it. If I want to add more answers after uploading something, like one page was left out, that everything can be done. After uploading everything, students can submit it. They can see in subjective type question they have uploaded 12 pages. Okay, and now they can. So you also can see the pages in the bottom, like it can be, you can reorder them in case some page was uploaded before other, just to ensure that all the answers are uploaded in right order. For all this exercise, we will be giving like 10 to 15 minutes to each student so that they can upload them properly. So that time is in excess to whatever time window of the test was there. So this is the critical step for teachers, like how can teachers evaluate the answer sheet of subjective questions, because students are not going to get physical copy of the answer sheet. Okay, even in online world right now we are living in, you have to be able to evaluate them through using some software only. answers submitted by the student. Now it is on the teacher's portal so that they can evaluate these answers. Okay, teachers will get different options and also annotation tools using which they can mark their comment on the answer sheet itself. At this point, teacher wanted to, let us say, provide some comment or some remark after highlighting. That is what they are doing here. On the side, you can see they have awarded the marks to the student. So this student has received 1.5 marks out of 6. There is the option of view solutions also in case teachers want to refer what was the right solution to a question, that can be checked here while evaluation. Evaluated the question paper. Now it is time to publish it. Okay, you can just click on publish results here, and after this, students are going to get the notification that their answer sheets are evaluated, and they can check how much marks they have received. So yeah. So I think you have got the idea here, like what exactly is happening here. So yeah. Yes, teachers. So coming back to the presentation. So this is how we are trying to create a data-driven school. We want to measure different aspects during the evaluation. You can see like there are more than, like for each concept, there are concept tests. For each chapter, there are 2 chapter tests using which you can check the performance. We have also seen how the results vary, like in terms of improvement in the score. Okay. So now, like, I will just repeat the question again, which we were asking earlier. Okay. So is teaching a science or art? Okay. A lot of you agree that teaching is an art, but as a company, or like, we are trying to put more aspects into it so that we can measure other things as well, which will help us in better evaluation. So this is our attempt to make it move from art to science. Okay. So this is the work which we are doing. You have seen it. Online solution is also there, which we are providing. Okay. So this is my part of the presentation is over. And in case any teachers want to share any feedback with us or any questions they have, please feel free to ask. And we would definitely like to know your views about it and learn from you. So I think our company representatives would be in touch with you. In case you have any question, you can ask from them as well. Okay. And till then, I think we can wrap this session for today. And I would like to thank everyone
Thank you
for
so
their
much.
participation. Yeah.
So someone has raised the hand, please.
Good evening, sir. This is Renuka.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, how about the questions, sir? Is the teacher, we have to prepare the questions, or is something that we have to download it, sir?
There are more than 1 lakh questions already prepared, and on a daily basis, around 100 plus questions are created. Okay. So questions are already there. You don't have to create the questions.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
In case you want to create the questions also, that feature is also there, but I don't think there will be a need to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Any other teacher, anything you want to ask, please feel free to. Ritu ma'am, Shreya ma'am,
If anyone wants to ask, please ask.
Anjali ma'am. Yeah, please. So then I think we can wrap this session up for today. I would like to thank everyone who have attended the session, and I hope this session was valuable to you.
Sure.
And would like to meet you definitely in your school, and definitely I would be looking forward to learn more from you. Thank you, teachers. And
Thank you so much, Akash. It was really insightful session. So thank you so much.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Akash.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Akash.